We're going to show in this video how to replace the bypass spring so we can modify a pump from, in this case, a lower bypass setting of 20 psi to the higher 70 psi setting. So the first step is to remove the 3 screws that secure the bypass assembly onto the pump head. You can see that we need to ideally hold down with your finger, hold down the assembly while you take the screws out, just to make sure that once the screws are removed, the spring that's pushing on the other end doesn't spring out the whole assembly and have parts fall away. We just simply remove the 3 screws. There's no particular order in which you need to remove them. You'll notice as the part comes out, the spring is pushing it out, so you remove that part, the assembly with the screws, and now we've exposed the upper holder, which keeps the spring in place from the top, the spring itself, and the lower cup spring holder, which also keeps the spring in place on the bottom side. Now, not able to be seen very well is inside the assembly area there is a rubber part, an EPDM part in this case, which is the bypass diaphragm. That one we're going to leave in place. There's no need to take that one out because we use the same one for the higher pressure. The bypass diaphragm looks like this. It's just a circular EPDM piece. That is the part that is in contact with liquid on the other side that's pushing against it and pushing up on the spring and telling us where the pressure is inside the housing, inside the pump. So we will now, to reassemble, we'll put the lower cup holder on the bottom with, of course, the cup side up. The spring goes inside the cup. There's no side that the spring needs to be put in. Either side is fine. And then the top holder of the spring is then placed on top of the spring. This assembly is complete. Now we'll put the bypass cover with the screws back on. There's no particular way in which that needs to go. It's just a triangular shaped piece. There's no top side or bottom side. You will have to push down with your finger, and as you do, you will know that the part was able to, that the assembly is in correctly because the part was able to push all the way down. If you were to be unable to push the assembly down all the way, that means that somehow the parts inside have moved out of shape, and you need to repeat the process to reassemble. There's no particular order in which the screws are tightened, but you do need to hold the assembly down with your finger as you're tightening to make sure that all the screws go in straight and that the assembly itself does not come out. The torque is anywhere from 4 to 5 inch-pounds actually on a reassembly. But what we're going to do here is just hand tighten. We just want to hand tighten the screws. And that would be sort of a gentle hand tightening. So the new spring is in there. What we need to do now is in the assembly towards the front there is a set screw that you can see. The set screw is currently set to what would have been the 20 psi, but to adjust this to 70 psi, we're going to have to hook the pump up to some sort of a test bench with a pressure gauge that then we can turn the set screw counterclockwise to reduce the bypass pressure, or clockwise to increase the bypass pressure. We're going to test the pump here, giving it some power. In this case, our connections are John Guest. We have, of course, a 3/8" female MPT port as an option. So once the pump is connected, we're going to test this pump and make sure that we have the bypass set at 70 psi. So having placed the new spring in the housing doesn't automatically give you 70 psi. We need to adjust the set screw accordingly. And again, all you need is, a bucket and a pressure gauge with a control valve. We've energized the pump here. You can see first we're running the pump at open flow so we can get all the air bubbles out of it. Any entrapped air is now removed. Our flow meter has no evidence of air anymore. And we're going to adjust the set screw now. We're going to read the pressure gauge to make sure that we're set at 70 psi, meaning that at 70 psi we have full bypass. The pump is not going to allow any more pressure than that. So the pump is running. We are with a 1/16 of an inch Allen screw. We are turning the set screw. We're going to turn it clockwise to increase the pressure. As you're turning the set screw, you can see the pressure going up. And when we reach 70 psi, we have reached 70 psi there. The set screw in the middle there, you see in the middle of the assembly, is ready to go. This pump is now set to bypass fully at 70 psi. That concludes our change out to a higher pressure spring.